Happy Thanksgiving. I know it's Thanksgiving, but we are still working here on the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast.
We hungry.
In this episode, we are going to do part 2. Yeah, we are hungry. We are hungry. Hungry for some turkey. In this episode, we are going to do part 2 of the NBL prospects. If you haven't been following, Australia has quite a few guys that could be selected in the 2024 NBA draft. Big shout out to Australia for the talent or the group of talent that they collected in the NBL this season. In this episode, we're going to talk about AJ Johnson, Bobi Klintman, and Ariel Hukporti. We may have enough time to get to a few more prospects, but you're going to want to hear our thoughts on these 3 prospects. Stay tuned. Big shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Rafael Barlowe, along with my brother and co-host, my dog, James Barlowe. It is Thanksgiving Day. What are you thankful for?
Hey, man, I'm thankful for you giving me the opportunity to join your podcast, man. Appreciate it, dog.
I set him up for that. That's all I wanted to hear. I just wanted him to feel... I just wanted to be appreciated. No. I'm thankful for family. I'm thankful for this opportunity to talk NBA draft. I'm thankful to be able to do what I enjoy and do what I love. I mean, there's so many people in this world that
do what they gotta do.
Yeah, they're not doing what they enjoy. And I mean, this is fun to me talking NBA draft, and it's fun to have a podcast with, a little audience, but it's also really fun to be able to do a podcast with my brother. I mean, this is just like the conversations that we've had for years, and now we're just doing it with some mics and a camera in front of us. So I'm really thankful for that. And I'm thankful for you, the listener. Thank you for making Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. I thank you for each and everyday listener for the support. We are wrapping up 2023, but basketball season is here, and basketball is so global now. I mean, there's leagues that we're covering that have prospects in Europe and the G League and college and in Australia. And so once a month, I want to do a podcast on just the prospects in the NBL and giving updates, because I just feel like college basketball is back now, so that's everything else is going to take like a back seat. And there's some really talented players that are, I guess, off the radar in a sense, just because they are so far away in Australia and the land down under. I hope to get out there this year. I want to. That's just a long trip.
What direction do you fly?
You got to go LA.
Okay.
You got to go LA.
And I'm like, Florida be far somewhere.
No, if you go the other way. But you got to go LA, and then that's a long trip. I mean, it's like if you're going, you got to go for like at least 7 to 10 days, man. You can't just be like, I'm going to go there for a couple of days. I did that, and that was a huge mistake.
To Australia?
New Zealand.
I want to go one day.
Yeah, I definitely want to go. All right, let's talk about AJ Johnson. I am not as high on AJ Johnson as quite a few people. There's some people that really, really like him. I get the intrigue. I just know that I am not as high on him as others. He could grow on me. I mean, the draft cycle, I would say it's early, but Australia's been at it for a minute, so they have quite a few games under their belt. And maybe the coaching change is going to change my perception of him. He is now, they replaced their coach, and his head coach is Jason Tatum's dad, Justin Tatum. So maybe that could help him out some, and maybe for me, just my perception of him. But what are your thoughts on AJ Johnson before I get into mine? I don't want to make sure I'm not tripping.
You're not tripping. He's got what I like to call, he might have that permanent potential, man. And I don't mean any disrespect. It's just like
a lot of flash,
and then a lot of like, yo, what? So like,
he's fun.
He's
fun to watch.
He's, how tall is he? 6'7", 6'8"?
6'6".
He looks like he's 6'8". He looks every bit of long, skinny, good athlete. He handles the ball very well.
Crafty. He's got some stuff to his game.
He's got good pace sometimes. But he's just so skinny, man. And like his frame is so physically weak, and like we talked about it on the other podcast, Australians is some grown men.
It's a grown man.
Any little bit of contact, he's way off balance.
Did you see the game against Delhi? It was like it was the equivalent of me playing in a league and I have like a fourth grader that weighs 98 pounds guarding me. And I mean, it's like he couldn't get to his spots. Yeah. He couldn't turn the corner. Yeah. If he got by a guy and there was a little bit of contact, it just kind of rerouted him where he couldn't take a straight path. Then on defense, they're going right at him. I mean, he is like, I wonder about the decision for him to go to Australia. I mean, I think that college basketball is getting older, and he committed to Texas. The Big 12 is a physical league. I mean, it's an older league. Yeah. I guess Texas is about to go to the SEC, another one of these conference alignment things that's throwing me off. But I think with a guy that is that skinny, I feel like
that's the worst place.
It's best for him to play against guys that are similar in age as opposed to grown men. And you can see that he's just physically not ready, despite the flashes. And when I look at what he's done this season and I look at next year, I'm like, he's going to be in the G League next year. Like, I can't see a situation where he gets drafted and then he goes to a team and he's in their rotation as a rookie. So it's like, what did you gain from going to Australia?
He's not even like Brandon Ingram's skinny strong. He's just skinny. Like any bit of contact and he's like off the wrong foot and like he tries and like I said, but you know, somebody give him a little bit of contact on the hip, man, that dude is getting rerouted.
But I like the flashes. I see the long-term potential, but I think it's all just going to depend on strength and freedom. Like right now, he's shooting 25% on layups. So that means 1 out of every 4 layups. That's all he's making, 1 out of every 4 layups. Shooting 33% from the floor, 36% on twos, 27% on three. 7 assists, 9 turnovers. So on paper, you're not going to be wowed at all on paper. But if you watch, like I said, you can see the speed, you can see the quickness, you can see just the flashes of creativity. I just don't know what to do with that because, like I said, I can't see a situation where he goes to a team next year and he's in their rotation. I think he's going to be in the G League next year.
You know, but I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
He needs time to just physically develop. Yeah. So that's to me, that's not a knock. I mean, keep it a beam with you. If he got drafted, like based on what you've seen from him, like that's a win. Now, does he have the work ethic, the everything else to stick? That remains to be seen. But like I will say, like he does a good job like cutting off the ball. And again, in train, like he isn't afraid. He's just physically weak. And now I will say he has the percentages back it up, but he's got some bad misses, like hit the other side of the backboard misses from straight on. If you told me he got drafted this year at whatever, and they were gonna just throw him in the G League, I wouldn't say that was a bad idea for him or a bad outcome for him because like he just needs to get better. He needs to physically, like what LeVar say, he got to get his ball body, man, because he doesn't have one right now.
Yeah, he got to put some weight in his pot. I mean, he's lightweight, but I'm trying to like visualize, okay, what is he going to be once he gains weight, once he gets stronger? Because right now it's hard not to see that being like the biggest concern. But once he gets stronger, then you're like, okay, there's some stuff there to work with, but I just wonder how long is it going to take him to get to that point? And then what is his natural position? Is he like someone that needs to pattern his game after Jamal Crawford?
Or is he someone that needs to, again, not the same height, but you saw what Jaden McDaniels did with he turned himself into like a defender. and was like, you know what, this is what I am. And then if more offense comes to me, great. Like, I don't know. So that's a good question.
That's fair. Because, I mean, but Jaden was obviously bigger. But if you would have told
taller,
me.
But he was still a bony
Yeah,
dude
he was
too.
still slim. But if you would have told me whatever year he came out, 3-4 years ago, that he was going to put it together, but as a defender.
The premier defender.
Because when I used to watch his film, I was like, hey, there's only a few guys in the world at that size that move like that and have this. And it was like Kevin Durant. Not saying I thought he was Kevin Durant,
He
but
definitely was
just
a Kevin Durant son.
that size and ball handling. And I'm hoping one day he's got his money now, but he gets into a situation where there's a team that's like, you know what? We know you can defend now, but we want to unlock you on offense.
On some Jeremy Grant stuff.
Yeah, that took a long time.
Because you would told me Jeremy Grant was going to get max money coming out of Syracuse when all he could do was dunk.
Back when he was with the Sixers during the process?
Yeah, I was like, man, there's no way. But now, he got an offensive package and a couple Brinks trucks.
Yeah. All right, when we return, we are going to talk about Bobi Klintman. Bobi Klintman was like the mystery man coming into the 2023 NBA draft. Decided to surprise a lot of people, including myself, decided to take another route and went to Australia. So we are going to get James's thoughts on that. Once again, happy Thanksgiving. And also thank you for making the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. We are just getting started. All right, second segment. Once again, thank you for making the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. And thank you for listening on Thanksgiving. Well, even if you're not listening on Thanksgiving Day, thank you for listening on Black Friday.
So while you waiting in line for a TV, y'all tripping, man.
And I'll never ever do a Black Friday.
I
But
worked retail before. Never.
You know what? I did, but I think I quit. I think I quit the day before. No, because I was in college and we were opening a Best Buy. We were opening a Best Buy. And then I was like, it shows you how old I am. That was the weekend like PlayStation 2 came out or something like that. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm not from here. I'm going home with my family. They're like, if you go home for Thanksgiving, you just got to be back on Friday. I'm like, I'm not traveling on Thanksgiving. I mean, I was probably making like $8, $9 an hour.
You was tripping just like those people waiting in line with you.
So I never did retail. I never made it back. So and I don't regret it. But anyway, Bobi Klintman. Talk about flash.
Talk about you look at him and be like, okay, is that what you mean?
Yeah, like the flashes are there. Like he didn't have like a significant role at Wake Forest last year, but his name started buzzing at the end of the year as a guy that teams like. And then I thought that he was going to get drafted because when he shut it down, it was like, okay, he has a promise. And everybody speculated that it was the Indiana Pacers or the Oklahoma City Thunder that shut him down. He surprised people, went to the NBL. And then this is what kind of throws me off about Klintman. You see the size, 6'10". You see the flashes of shooting. You see the flashes of passing. Like when he played in FIBAs in Sweden, he was playing a lot of point forward. So you saw like the ball handling, the passing. You saw like this talent that had a lot of different skill sets to build upon, from athleticism to shooting to passing. But there wasn't that one particular thing that you're like, all right, this is what he does well, the skill set to hang his hat on. I thought it was the shooting because I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I thought he shot the ball well at Wake Forest last year.
I think it was
like 38%, if I'm not mistaken.
Let me look. But yeah, he did shoot the ball well.
I have like a gazillion stats in my head, and sometimes I just forget. So anyway, I was looking forward to seeing Klintman. 37%, right?
Yes.
30. Was it 37 point?
36.8.
36.8. I was off by. So anyway, I was really, really looking forward to seeing him in the preseason when his team played 2 preseason games in the NBA. So I was like, this is the best opportunity to watch a potential first-round prospect in an NBA setting.
Talk to him.
3 for 12, from the floor, 1 for 5 from deep against the Raptors.
Maybe he got OG that night.
Okay. 1 for 12 and 1 for 7 from 3 against the juggernaut powerhouse Washington Wizards. So he combined to go 4 for 24 and 2 for 12 from 3. It's hard for me to take that out of my mind.
Okay.
How bad he looked and how half of his shots were threes in 2 preseason games. Again, I know it's preseason, but it's hard to take that out of, it's hard to unsee it. So then I'm trying to give him a clean slate, and I watch him in the NBL this year, and the percentages are significantly better. I mean, they're way better.
This dude here.
A lot better. But he's at 47% from the floor, 27% from 3. The scariest number is that he's shooting 18% unguarded.
You got him at 40% from the field in the NBA?
That's what I have.
I had him at 40.
I got him at 40. That's what I said.
Oh, you said 47.
40%.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, 40%. So I'm like, all right, what is the skill set that's going to translate? Because I think the shooting is going to open everything up for him. And unlike A.J. Johnson, he has the body.
Right.
So it's not like a strength, even though, he's still playing against grown men, but it's not that big of a strength deficit. So in your opinion, why do you think Klintman is struggling, at least with his efficiency?
I
don't know. That's why I'm asking.
I know, but I was getting to it. So for when I watch him and I watch him play, and then when you talk about he struggles with his efficiency, but you see the talent, you see he's a stretch 4 that can put the ball on the ground for a couple dribbles. He had a little pullback thing going on for him. He goes left, gets to the basket sometimes, and he shows some flashes of being like a good passer, but the efficiency just does not translate.
54% at the rim,
which is crazy. He's got the tools, and looking at him, he reminds me a lot of Trey Lyles.
And Trey Lyles was a lottery pick, right?
Trey Lyles was the 12th pick in the draft. Trey Lyles played for Denver, Utah,
Sacramento.
He found a home in Sacramento as a small ball backup 5, but that was his best year shooting the 3 ball. So it's is it Bobby or Bobi?
Bobi.
Is Bobi Klintman the new Trey Lyles? Where you just kind of you see the potential, you see the talent, and it just doesn't translate until 3, 4, 5 years down the line when you figure out that he's a rotation guy that has value.
I can see that. Say? No, I think that's very fair.
Trey Lyles played for I knew he played for. Everybody plays for Detroit, but he played for Detroit, and he had a stint in San Antonio too. So that's 5 teams. This is his 5th team, and he's 20,
25, 26.
He's 28.
Oh, dang! Wow, time flies. Yeah. All right, I want to ask you, how much does his struggles against the Raptors and the Wizards in a preseason setting worry you?
They don't worry me because
Richard Stayman said the same thing. He said he's not worried about it at all. I just can't unsee it.
Well, okay, it doesn't worry me because ultimately, it's 2 games, and it's just a different setting. He's not playing with NBA players. He's playing with lesser talented guys against NBA players.
And I know their schedule was really, really crazy just because that's a crazy long trip. And if I'm not mistaken, they got here to the States, had a very small window of time to adjust as far as the time zone, because that time difference is crazy. Yeah. And when I went, it's crazy, but I feel like because it's so far away that it might be the easiest to adjust to. Because when I went, let's just say it was a Monday. No. Let's say it was a Wednesday. But I was watching Tuesday night NBA basketball at 5 p.m. on Wednesday. So you're really just like a day ahead. Almost like a full day ahead. So again, it's Wednesday, but I'm watching Tuesday night. To me, it's harder when you're in Europe. Like I was in France. It's a 7-hour time difference. So the games are coming on at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So But the jet lag is real. The jet lag is definitely real. So maybe that played a part in it. But like I said, it's just hard for me to unsee a guy that settled for half of his shots for threes. He wasn't making them.
Well, I mean, his shot creation, he's got a 2-dribble max. So it's like, I don't really expect for him to do anything but shoot threes. Like, he's, to me, is a pick and pop 4 who, if he's not making threes, what is he really going to add? Because he's not posting up. You know, he's not a grab and go big, even though
he shows flashes. He did that before.
But it's just like everything with him is going to be dictated on if he's making threes. If he's making threes, then that one dribble pull up or that dribble drive game opens up for him. So it's like if he's not making threes, yeah, you shoot 214. What else is he going to offer you? Because he's not like a great athlete where he's not dunking on you. Like, even in the NBL, his left-hand drives are, like, tough drives.
Yeah.
Like, he's 6'10", contorting his body. He's not, like, getting, like, clean, like, dunks or clean layups. He's not blowing by you. So, I mean, I that part of it against the NBA guys doesn't worry me. Him not being a knockdown shooter would worry me.
See, he's a guy that I wish I could take to my Rafael Barlowe dream player developmental lab.
What would you do then?
All right, one, we're shooting and making 200 to 300 threes a day.
Okay.
Heavy emphasis on the corner.
What about the top of the key?
Yeah, pick and pops. But then, in the second half of the day, he's playing one-on-one all day long.
Okay.
Because with his skill set, his body, his frame, I'm like, you can be a problem on mismatches.
I agree.
You could bully smaller guys. And I mean, it's just selfishly me wanting more out of him. But I'm telling you, I think with his skill set, because I think he's good enough as a passer, maybe not decision maker, but good enough as a passer to where if he is able to draw double teams, he'll be able to find guys. Mm-hmm. But that's just my Rafael dream scenario. I mean, I would love for him. I would be like, look, this is crazy. This is just I'm throwing this out there. Call Jabari Parker. Hey, Jabari, I got this guy. I know you like to hoop. I know you like to play one-on-one. I want you and him. I want him to just learn from you. And you're probably like, why Jabari Parker?
Man, Jabari Parker is one of my favorite players that it didn't work out.
It didn't work out for him. I mean, he's doing okay in Barcelona. But I'm like, I want him to be able to just create havoc for defenses because he's a mismatch problem. He's strong enough to where even if he's not blowing by you, he gets to a spot. But that's just my dream scenario. I think he has the body, the frame, and like a good baseline of skills to be more than just Trey Lyles.
Okay, so you have a pick in the draft. You have a pick in the draft. Where are you taking him?
As of right now?
As of right now, saying that he's got permanent potential, potentially.
But he's not that young. He's not like he's 19 years old. I mean, he's had a year of school. I mean,
is he 20? I think he's 20.
I mean, what will he be on draft day? He's not like incredibly young. He's not like he's 18.
No, but I'm saying like
he's a second round pick.
He was born in 2003, so he's 20 right now. He'll be 21 on draft night.
So that's not bad.
So it's not bad. So you say he's a second round pick, right?
He's a second round pick, at least for me right now.
With first round talent, if it all plays.
I mean, I think in this draft, 15 through 45 are all guys that could be first round picks.
It might be 10 through 45, depending on how I feel.
All right, when we return, we're going to talk about an old school bruiser that some people think has a chance to be an NBA player. I don't know if James agrees with it, but I'm going to get James's opinion. Of course, I'm going to add my own on Ariel Hukporti, a guy whose name has been on draft radars for seems like forever. Stay tuned. All right, last segment. Once again, thank you for making the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. Thank you for listening to us on Thanksgiving or your Black Friday or your Thanksgiving weekend. We appreciate each and every listen, and we are thankful for you that are watching on YouTube or you're downloading and listening to us on your podcast. And I also wanted to tell you about Locked On Sports Today, 24/7. That's 24 hours, 7 days a week. There's Locked On Sports, so you're getting all the local analysis from the Locked On local hosts along with the national shows. The very first of its kind, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week sports streaming service. All right, the last player that we want to talk about is Ariel Hukporti, a guy that I feel like has been on the radar for a while. My first time watching him play was 2019 at the under-18s. And I'm just going to give you some of the names that were in this tournament and where they're at in their careers. His teammate was Franz Wagner.
Heard of him.
So Franz is what, year 3?
I believe so.
This is year 3. He's averaging like 18 or 19 points per game. And to be honest with you, people at that time, people thought Hukporti was the better long-term prospect. Alperen Şengün was in that tournament. He's averaging like, 20 points, 8 rebounds a game, like 59% from the floor.
Third best back to the basket.
Alperen Şengün is special.
Yeah.
Santi Aldama from the Memphis Grizzlies was in that tournament. Usman Gruber, who's now with the Warriors, was in that tournament. I'm forgetting somebody else. I know Adem Bona was in that tournament. It was quite a few really talented players. Oh, Alexis Pokashevsky. That was a tournament that actually put him on the map and got him drafted. So Hukporti has been around for a while. And like coming into that particular tournament that summer, he was one of the top names. One of the guys that you were like, we got to go see. I think, what's the guy's name from Michigan that plays for the Clippers was also in that tournament. The backup big that they brought in Daniel Tice for because when Plumlee got hurt. Can't think of his name. Musa.
Yeah.
So anyway, so Hukporti was one of the top guys, and then his career taken a totally different path. Then he's had some injuries. I know he tore his Achilles. When you look at him, you see like this old school back to the basket bruiser, but he shows some glimpses of footwork and touch. Game may not be like the most visually pleasing. Like I feel like he's in between, as he's not like your great back to the basket scorer. Like he's not like a Şengün. He can be like your dump off guy, like just a big body that's around the basket that scores on dump offs. But he's not really like athletic enough to where you can say he is a vertical lob threat. But he is a big body that shows flashes of touch. He rebounds the ball.
He does rebound the ball.
And there could be a spot in the NBA for a guy that just goes after rebounds. But then again, we see Tshiebwe, who's not an NBA, but he's bigger than Tshiebwe. So anyway, what are your thoughts on Hukporti, and do you think he is an NBA player?
Let me ask you a question. How many years removed is he from the Achilles injury? Because, that's usually year 2.
He's only a year removed, if I'm not mistaken. So he looks good for a guy that's a year removed.
Okay, I give him that.
He does look pretty heavy, but he was always a big, he's always a big body.
He's productive. You can see the talent. Like you said, he's stuck in between. Am I going to throw him the ball in the post, or is he a dump-off guy? So, we just watched a play not too long ago. He got an offensive rebound and immediately started dream shaking in the paint. And I'm like, that's not really going to translate, nor is it necessary because it's offensive rebound. You don't have time to do all that. But, again, he rebounds. He's productive. I have him at 8 rebounds per game and only 17 minutes per game.
Glass cleaner.
However, he's getting you 3 fouls in those 17 minutes. So he might be a bit of a hacker as well. I think he's got good footwork. The frame is good. He tries to use both hands. I do remember a play where he was posting up, and I believe he's left-handed, and he hit somebody with the back down. He went to turn over the opposite shoulder, and he still shot it left-handed. I'm like, only Shaq can get away with that. But it's just like you said, am I going to throw him the ball in the paint in the NBA? Probably not.
No. Maybe post-play will come back and you will have a big that you will throw the ball to when he gets a switch on a small.
See, but here's my theory about that. we don't need to throw you the ball because you're big. Like the golden era of the 90s bigs, like those dudes were all great. I don't want to throw the ball to them.
They weren't all great.
No. I'm talking about when I say those guys, like the Shaq, David Robinson.
But I mean,
Patrick
they still
Ewing.
threw the ball into like your Rick Smiths.
Rick Smith shot a lot of jumpers.
But gave
here's
him
my
the
thing. But yes, they threw the ball to Rick Smith, but they also threw the ball to Del Davis. I'm not throwing the ball to Del Davises, man.
Yeah, but if you feed him 2 possessions,
that's too many.
A half.
Nah, for what? Now we're not doing that in 2023. That era of post basketball does not need to come back to me.
Now, I want to see if a guy has a mismatch.
You throwing the ball to
but that's
Garuba in the post, bro?
No, not him. But I mean, that's why I thought that's why I like FIBA play, because when we played at the World Cup, if there was an advantage, they threw the ball to whoever, where it was a wing or a post player. And they gave our players buckets because we don't have to defend the post anymore.
I mean, I get that, but at the same time, it's like Jaren Jackson showed flashes of he added some of a post game, and he's somebody. Let's give him a couple looks in a post a game. He should be able to because he's going to get mismatches from picking and because he pops too.
What about my guy like Jonas V, who can post up?
And I like Joe. If Jonas Valanciunas could play 32 minutes a game, he'd be great. The offense isn't the issue with him. Is that you don't want him defending for more than 30 minutes. Please give Valanciunas the ball. But
they don't feed him. I feel like they don't feed him all the time on switches.
I mean, he's playing with Zion, man. Zion's occupying that space. Now, when Zion
don't play. I mean, there's more games without Zion. But he's played more games without Zion than he's played.
But even then, he doesn't close games because
I get it.
His defense is not. You can't close it. I mean, like LeBron, he played for Toronto when it was LeBron told. So like, I get that. But I'm just saying with Ariel here is like he's stuck between being an energy guy and is his back to the basket game that nice? Is it good enough for us to be giving him the ball?
No, I don't think so. But like, here's my notes, and these are notes that I have from 21. Left-handed, big interior presence, shows promising touch around the rim, strong frame, good size, flashes some ball handling skills, most effective on the right block, sprints the floor in transition, has some potential as a low post scorer, really good rebounder, attacks the glass, good shot blocker. I put he's a decent athlete but not mobile. And then here were my concerns. He looks stiff, tight hips, not really fluid.
Talking about them feet, bro.
Settles for too many jumpers. Like, I don't think he's doing that now, but there was a point in his career where he thought he was a floor spacer and he was settling for jumpers. Not an explosive athlete, ugly form when it's shot. Hey, my scouting notes, when I read them out, I'm like, I was just keeping it real. Below the rim finisher, not a good rim roller, prefers to short roll and pop. He's raw, has no right hand. Then I put he has below average athlete, too heavy. He's terrible when trying to face up and create, very turnover prone. What is his skill set? So that was 2 years ago. I feel like he's honed it down some. He's not trying as much to showcase that he can shoot the ball in space, and he's not trying to like handle the ball and beat guys off the dribble. So I feel like Australia has done a good job of toning it down some and basically saying, hey, keep the main thing the main thing. If you're going to make it to the highest level, you're going to have to rebound, block shots, and just be a big interior presence. So with all that being said, do you, James Barlowe, think that is enough to get him drafted in a wide open draft? And then visualize, how would he look in college?
Oh, he would be great in college because they want to throw you the ball in the post in college, and they believe in playing through bigs. Like he'd be great in college because you don't have to defend in space, right? You can clog the paint, and then the shooting is bad, so that's more available rebounds. Like the talent level, like college would be great for him. In the NBA, like you said, he's gonna have to hang his hat on rebounding. But is there room for a Reggie Evans type in 2023, 2024?
I don't know. I can't even think of a guy that's on an NBA roster who I can say, all right, this is who Ariel Hukporti should play like, and he can have a similar role. I can't think of one.
And that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because, again, if he was a better athlete, I'd be like, oh, no doubt, for sure. But if you're an average athlete...
Could he be a bigger Rashawn Holmes?
Rashawn Holmes got touch in the paint.
Yeah, like he shows flashes of touch, but he doesn't have Rashawn Holmes.
Rashawn Holmes at one point had a top 5 floater in the NBA.
Yeah, now I haven't even seen him get a minute for the Mavs. Maybe he has, but I haven't seen him. Yeah, I can't think of another big that has a similar skill set, size, and frame in the NBA right now. If there is one, let me know. Let me know. Let us know. Comment on YouTube or shoot me a message on Twitter. If you think that Ariel Hukporti is an NBA player, if so, what role do you see him playing and who is similar? Well, that wraps up this episode, this holiday episode. Once again, thank you for making Locked On NBA Big Board Podcast your first listen of the day. Thank you for listening on Thanksgiving weekend. This is Rafael Barlowe with my brother James, and we are out. No Black Friday shopping.
Man, please. Sleeping.